Glory, honor, and praise to the Father in heaven, Allah, my Father, the Father of the universe. It's about 8:30 a.m. Next day after the PD was called on me by, well, the first time it was a uniformed security guard that told me that I'm trespassing, I'm on private property by being on the sidewalk station here. This is a sidewalk. This is where I was sitting to do my assignment, my soul retrieval work. Now, the second person that came out that I got on video was a plainclothes person. So he didn't have on a uniform. He didn't announce himself, who he was, if he worked for the Sheraton or what. But he would not leave from around me. He stayed here the whole time it took for the PD to get here. Maybe 20 to 30 minutes. I'm not sure of the exact time. But he stood here the whole time, interrupting my prayer and my spiritual duties that I was doing when the first uniformed officer, security person from the Sheraton came over here. So the first person came in a uniform. I didn't leave. He got the second person that had on plain clothes. He came over here, right next to me. He was right here. This is where he left after he called the PD and was waiting here. This is where he left on the ground. First of all, he smoked while I'm doing my spiritual duties. He gonna light up a cancer stick. I'm saying because I forget how many chemicals a cigarette has in it. But while I'm doing my prayer and spiritual work, he gonna, after insulting me and calling me black to the PD operator, cursing me in the vicinity that I am doing the transmutation work in. I'm transmuting the energetic imprint, not just attached to the divine vicinity where I was told to go, but also for ancestors that traverse these divine vicinities. My ancestors were not called black. Black people were not called black until so-called black people were not even called black until 1774 by the slaveholder. So while I'm doing this kind of work, I'm sitting here, on my little bench, hearing him on the phone with the PD operator calling me black, and then pulls out a cigarette, smoking a cigarette, and this is where he leaves. That's where he leaves his cigarette butts. Next to my stuff. So just complete disrespect that occurred, that went on, and he got an answer to my father. He got an answer to my father. He's getting charged in my father's courts. And then I have another one right here, sitting up here, right there, watching me while I'm doing this recording. My father said, do another journal She's on she's on one of them walkie-talkies. I wish you would. You'll never have employment. You'll never, for the last days on this earth, you will have no employment here. You will be deemed unemployed and unemployable on this earth for your last days on this earth. That's for anybody who violates not just my divine and national rights, but my human rights, my ancestors' rights as spirits ascending back to the higher dimensions, back being reconciled, redeemed back to the Father, as well as the highest law on the land, which is the constitutional rights. This is on the record to the all. You violate that, and in the name of Allah, I deem you unemployed and unemployable on this land that was given to my ancestors for the remainder of your life. And how that will look, my Father is the one that sentences. The same way you would be summoned to a shadow law court system, it's the same way you would be summoned to the higher courts, to the divine courts. These are the courts that are operated by my Father, the Father of the universe, Allah. And this is according to universal law, is how my Father judges and sentences. So like this ignoramus that not only interrupted my Father's business, me doing my Father's business, but then wants to pull out a cigarette, start smoking right near me, and then leaving the ashes, the butts, scraped in the ground of the vicinity that I'm purifying, that I'm cleaning. It's like he's being tried in my Father's court. He's already summoned because the angels recorded this. And how these sentences look. Look, just think about your worst situations that you see on earth. People inside of their bodies on earth playing out. And you're like, you don't even want to acknowledge it because you're like, you could never even imagine yourself in that situation. You could never imagine yourself being sentenced to a wheelchair without limbs, without working limbs, and having nobody, and being out on the street, being paraplegic, losing just property, losing jobs, losing material comfort. See, when the shadow court law sentences you, you get locked in a room about the size of the hotel over there for a specific amount of time. But when my Father sentences you, you get locked in your body in undesirable, most times unimaginable situations, aka simulations, that my Father orders the offending vessel to live out for a specific amount of time. And now the time that we're in, because we're in an age of divine justice. See, I would not be able to take him to a shadow court law system for just violating my space, violating my privacy, violating my rights, violating my space. They would never hear this case in a shadow law court system. But Allah, see, but Allah is the grand master judge of the universe that judges and sees all. In these cases, they go to my Father, and my Father decides how that the offending vessel shall spend the remaining days of their life on earth and beyond. Because it's not, my Father not just going to sentence these beings that's here for the end time judgment, meaning the end times. We're out of the age of Pisces. We're seeing the end time of the age of Pisces play out on earth. We're seeing a new earth being formed under the age of Aquarius. So this is concerning lifetimes. And again, my Father does not just sentence that vessel. He sentences every person, place, and thing connected to their reality. And we know that we share the same DNA as our ancestors. We are our ancestors. So the whole bloodline comes under review and the judgment of Allah. And you wonder why, when you actually need physical, and this is for the offending vessels, you wonder why when you actually are going to need assistance on earth, you're going to wonder why your whole family turns their back on you. And it gets to a point where they just stop helping you. They turn cold towards you, because it's going to be revealed to them. You came across a angel of Allah, a messenger of Allah, a servant of Allah, a minister of Allah. You violated, not just, I'm saying this how my Father's looking at it. You violated their divine and national rights. They have the right to do this work for their ancestral bloodline. They have the right to do what I tell them to do as a minister for their bloodline and for the indigenous people's land. Because even the land, even the vicinity, the geographic vicinity of whatever land where I'm standing right now, where I was sent right now, it has an energetic impression. Because every thought, word, and deed committed on this divine vicinity was recorded by the angels of Allah. That's why Mother Earth is just coming and just taking whole places away through these natural disasters, because water is a transmutation tool. When things leave by the wayside and are taken away by the waters of the earth, this is a form of transmutation. It's a form of changing the energy, the energetic impression for said vicinity, geographic vicinity. Places are going under on the earth, and places are coming up and out on the earth. There's a new earth, it's a new ocean in Ethiopia being formed right now. We're in 2024 timeline. It's a new ocean in Ethiopia being formed right now. So it's a new earth forming. So you're going to see things leave totally, disappear totally, and you're going to see new things being formed or coming back up from the period of time it was gone for the last transmutation. So look, it's a lot of consequences that's even spanning the rest of this life of the offender that violates a vessel of Allah, a servant of Allah, a vessel of righteousness. When the angels open up the book on this individual that cursed me, right next to me, that came over here, violated me and cursed me. I hear him calling me black to the PD operator, and then lights up a cigarette and starts smoking it right next to me, and has the nerve to stand here until the PD comes here like I'm committing a crime by being on a sidewalk? Because look at the constitutional cases. Where there is no injured party, there is no crime committed. Therefore, is no arrestable offense. So this individual has the audacity to stand here and tell the PD come as if I'm committing some type of crime by sitting on the sidewalk on a stool. This sidewalk is leading to the highway and off on the side. I'm behind a red line. I'm not blocking cars from going in and out of their parking lot. I'm not sitting in front of the actual location where they have their guests coming in and out. I'm just here off to the side doing my father's business. And this guy gonna come with his nasty cigarette butts. Listen, because I use tobacco, organic tobacco and things for soul retrieval work because I have so many ancestors that was their favorite staple. Their favorite activity was using the nicotine spirit. And, like different flowers like CBD. But if I use it for any soul retrieval work or just the inner child healing work or transmutation work to connect with their spirits, I use only organic grown natural flower. That in my intention, that's what I know, that's what I see on the package. And obviously we don't know everything about this stuff, but he gonna come in with his little toxic, because I can tell the difference. He didn't have this was not organic, no organic tobacco. You can look at that. That's it. Sheraton, what employees do you have it's so important for him and critical for him to wait the 20 to 30 minutes for the PD to come this close to me, why he calls me black to the PD, to the operator, lights up a cancer stick and is blowing it in my direction. But yet that looks very trifling and nasty. I'm saying to guests that come by here, this is what I'm leaving behind. I left old flowers behind on the ground. That's what I'm leaving behind. He's leaving these smeared ashes and cigarette butts. That looks very unprofessional. This just shows you the hate crimes because he didn't even clean that up. But you saying that I'm on your property, you saying that I'm on Sheraton, or whom this person was representing, because again, he didn't announce himself. He had on plain clothes and he did not have on a name tag or badge. But he says, I'm on private property and I'm trespassing, right? Enough so that he has to stand here and wait up to a half hour for PD to get here because I'm committing such a horrible crime. He needs to be a civilian op, right? But yet you gonna leave some cigarette butts and ashes on a property of Sheraton that you're saying is so private. They can do whatever they want to do. As far as disrespect, they can do it, right? Now, I can't take this individual to the shadow law court system. They'll never hear a case like that, right? Oh, but my father absolutely heard the case and knows and sees all concerning it. So how this individual's life is going to play out, it's going to be real wicked. It's going to be real wicked, his last days on this earth. really wicked, because my father is sentencing him. But how he spends the last days on this earth, my father is sentencing him. My father heard the case. And Sheraton, because he claimed to there was a uniform security that came out here originally, so I was violated either way. And this held up over an hour of my time, because when the first uniform security came over to me, I had my head down in prayer. So, that was an undoing from the work that I had already done. So it wasted a lot of my time just even dealing with, oh, you're on the sidewalk. Can you move back a little more? Oh, this is what the officers is going back and forth saying to me. Oh, but can you move back a little more? But then now I'm interrupting people that's moving back and forth from this way to that way. Oh, but can you just move back? Move back for what? I'm not obstructing anybody. I'm out of the way of customers. I'm not obstructing people needing to get to the parking lot. I'm behind a red line. Move back for what? These people are never satisfied. Again, it's all about life force, energy extraction, taking my pure positive energy, my happiness. Nothing makes me more happy than working for my ancestors, working for my father, doing what my father has me to do. Even though this is a very difficult job. It's cold out here when I have to be out here. I have to deal with the elements. I have to deal with drug addicts, junkies, thinking they had the right to come up to me because I'm sitting outside, thinking they got the right to ask me, do I have this, do I have that, do I do drugs? Like, the shit goes on, and the harassment that you face outside, not just from, just regular people out here that also are on the streets and travel through the streets, but through the employees of these companies that are so emotionally connected to their hate that they feel the need to stand here for a half hour for somebody sitting behind a red line on the sidewalk. I never said one word to a customer or whatever they are, whatever you want to call them, guests. Never call for no emergencies. But these employees are so emotionally connected. I had a guy, a maintenance guy, which I'm gonna put that video up, jump in my way. I couldn't even walk no further. He's jumping in my way to make sure I couldn't go into the lobby of a place. Like, they are that emotionally connected to their hate. You hate Allah, and Allah knows that. And Allah is the one that will be overseeing your judgment. When Allah calls your judgment, instantly, the universal law is enacted. So everything leading up to your sentence is being lined up for you to play out your sentence on earth. Like I said, whether that be unemployment, through whatever means has to happen, you might, listen, I'm talking to the offending parties, you might be employee of the year. You might never call out. You might have the best employee record and track record, so maybe your company would never fire you. Oh, but if Allah sentenced you to a terminal illness in your body, and have every situation lined up where you can you can't even make it to work. You can't even make it to work no more. You're that sick. Something happened to your car, something happened to your property, something happened to family, something happened, a natural disaster affects your life, anything. We see so many people living out sentences on earth that you're like, oh, well, look, I don't care how good of an employee you are. I don't care how loyal or faithful of an employee you are. You can't work with certain situations that's out of your control, that's brought upon through your own wicked actions towards a vessel of Allah. So my father knows just what sentence to give a vessel when we can't take these matters to the shadow law court system because they will not hear a criminal case. And when I say criminal, I'm talking about criminal according to the universal laws. Because what happened to me last night, that was a criminal activity recorded according to my father's law and my father's courts. So it is what it is. Those beings that interrupted father's business, they're under divine judgment. They're subject to the wrath of Allah. How it plays out in their realities, it could happen in an infinite amount of ways. My father is a great God of infinite possibilities. That's in both polarities. That's in a positive polarity. There's infinite possibilities, as well as in the negative polarity, there are an infinite amount of possibilities that could be made manifest in any vessel's life and reality. And these individuals, they will be receiving the negative consequences for violating a vessel of Allah. And how my father's going to look at that. You came over here and you directed the energy of a poison when I told my servant to go there and clean up the energy at on this site and the energy for their ancestors, and you came, undid what I told them to do because they were in prayer. You came, undid that, and not only that, you cursed them in the process. Because according to my prophet Noble Drew Ali, according to Allah, black according to science means death, and that label was given to this race of people, this nation of people, in 1774 by a slaveholder. You over here insulting a vessel of Allah, cursing them, and directing poisons in their vicinity where they are sent to clean up. See, my father breaks it down, like, because he opens up the book of life gets open. The same way in a shadow court law system, how you get judged by your intent. Like, two people can murder somebody, one get manslaughter and the other one get homicide. Why is that? Because of the intent. They go through the whole case, hearing testimony and all that, to decide the sentence that you get. Manslaughter, you get a lighter sentence, versus homicide, you get a heftier, more oppressive sentence. This individual, he would have got the homicide charge. It's no testimony. It's no defense that he's going to have for what he did to me last night on behalf of this 4 Points by Sheraton. And he named himself a representative of the 4 Points by Sheraton. So now, not only are these individuals being personally named in the court rulings, in the universal court rulings, but now 4 Points by Sheraton is they're brought into this situation as well, because these beings are representing, these employees are representing that business entity. Not only is the 4 Points by Sheraton involved in these court proceedings, but the entity, the business entity, the corporate entity residing over the 4 Points by Sheraton is also in this court proceeding. So this is how it works in my father's court. And my father, again, my father is the final judge. My father is the universal judge. My father is the judge over this earth because my father created this earth. You got that right. My father created this earth. My father decides all of the affairs on earth. And sometimes they can just play out naturally. Affairs can play out naturally. But when you violate his vessel, now we have other forces that come into play, come up, and have to play out now because there is one of his vessels involved in a particular matter. So now one of his vessels are involved in a matter involving the entity residing over the 4 Points by Sheraton. These businesses, these corporations have a life force energetic imprint on the earth. Every thought, word, and deed connected to whatever business entity that it is also recorded in Earth's book of life. That's the energetic impression that they have on the earth. Everything is recorded by the angels of Allah. And that even comes into review when my father is deciding what businesses stay on the earth for this, just for the new age, and what businesses fall by the wayside. What entities get arrested, captured, contained, incarcerated and incinerated and cast to the lake of fire, because these entities, these are life forms, these are life forces of their own that operate through a physical property, a physical storefront, that are here to extract the life force via fiat note. Because how do people earn fiat notes? People earn fiat notes by their blood, sweat, and tears, right? They work all day and night. They work 40 to 60 hours, and we also count how many hours does it take you to prepare to even get to the storefront. That's also hours, aka time, aka life force, that's involved in working for certain entities, certain storefronts. And these entities, these are called spiritual wickedness in high places over. You have forces, you have brands and entities that are a force of good, but you can always tell them by the fruits that they bear. And again, me personally, I don't find any justice present in having a whole day's a wage extracted to spend in a room about the size of a jail cell. I don't find any justice in that. I don't find any common sense in that. But that's what it is in this timeline. That's what goes on with these, these hotels. And again, I don't know who the Sheraton family is, but one day I will get the opportunity to have that investigated, because what happened to me was a hate crime. This is what my father is saying. The intention of these individuals that came up to me was for the purposes of persecution and hate. My father read the intent of them. The same way that whatever person that's on trial, their intent is read through certain facts surrounding the case. My father read hate and persecution. So I don't know. I don't know anything about this Sheraton family, but we will be able to see whether they have links back to former slaveholders, former plantation owners. Because my father is saying a lot of these corporations on the land of so-called America what my prophet Noble Drew Ali refers to as North Maxim. My father said many of these corporations are former plantations. So if this is the case with the Sheraton, and that gets revealed to me through research, then you already know what it is. You already know what it is for the Sheraton brand, the entity. Because my father, listen, this took a lot of resources. This place, it took a lot of resources from the earth to build and even to maintain. It takes a lot of life force extraction, because not only do you have and this is why I understand this is why they don't want me on these marketplaces. But again, any business entity blocking the Father's will, me doing the Father's work, you're subject again. And this is the entity I'm talking about. These are the spirits residing over these physical representations. You're subject to arrest, capture, containment, incarceration, and incineration in the lake of fire. Before a business goes down, goes bankrupt, is destroyed by whatever means, even any person, place, or thing, it goes under a spiritual review. And my father decides its fate on the earth. And then you find whatever time later you see the outcome of the judgment. That's why you're seeing so many business just go bankrupt, defunct, get shut down. The fiscal year, the fiscal life is destroyed because they're violating certain universal laws. And we are in an age of Aquarius. Is governed by my father's law now. We are governed by my father's law. The world that was created in the age of Pisces, it was governed under different laws. Satan had dominion during this age, and we saw 1%, like these Sheratons, these corporations, we saw the 1% harvest the resources from the earth and trickle them down to the 99%, the masses. It's nothing abundant about paying upwards of, I see some of these places, I don't know the price point on the 4 Points by Sheraton. I do not know that. I have not researched that. I'm here for my father's business. But I see these places going upwards of, some of them $300, $400, $200, $100. That's, for most people, that's a day's wage. That's a whole day of working to stay in a room about the size of a jail cell. That was the norm for the age of Pisces. Scarcity, lack. That's a scarcity energy, a lack energy. If I pay a whole day's wages, me getting up out the bed, maybe having to get my children off to work, off to school, get my house in order, get myself in order before I have to come to the job site, be at the job site all day, go home and have duties that I have to do at home, take care of family, cook, go to handle other responsibilities, probably have enough time to go home, take a shower, watch a show, eat, get back in bed and come back and do it all over again. That's one day. That's one day of your life force energy, your time. And I'm not saying this to preach. I'm just breaking down the facts behind it. And I use all that money that I generated from the day from working at one of these places. And I give it to a corporation, a company, one whole day of doing something for somebody else, for making somebody else wealthy or rich. And I give that whole wage away to stay in a room that's about the size of a jail cell. There's nothing abundant. That's not of my Father's intent. That's not my Father's divine intent. Because there's nothing abundant about that. And most of these places, the check-in time, I'm seeing the latest at like 3 p.m. They saying you can check in. And then you got to check out way earlier. You got to check out at 11. Most of these places don't even have 12 p.m. checkouts unless you specifically, can I check out? You got to check out late. There's nothing abundant about this practice that goes on this land. That is not of my Father, it's of the father of the old world. That's of Satan, because Satan will